Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Welcome back to another episode of And Still Boxing. I'm your host, Guy McKinnon, and I'm met again in the venue by Michael King. Michael, how are you today, sir?
Good, thanks. Good to be back. Excited for this one. Hey, thanks.
The crowd's loving it. They're loving you working them. All right, today we're going to go over a very, very interesting matchup here. We're going to go over the Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol in Saudi Arabia in a number of weeks, very, very soon. What a matchup. Michael, I want you to apply your very, very fine boxing mind to this, all right? Now, like we said, we love your opinions and we love where you take these things. You're outside the box thinker. You are a holistic thinker and like to think of the one percenters. Of note, the analysis, which is nowhere to be found online or anything, but the analysis of George Kambosos versus his opponent when he won, Teofimo Lopez was amazing, and that's why you've got the shot. You've got the shot here on And Still Boxing. All right.
Made the cut.
My question, the light heavyweight bout, Bivol versus Beterbiev. How does that stylistically match up, in your opinion?
That's a very loaded question. This is a tough one. I keep going back and forth on it. It's hard to call, but stylistically, they're polar opposite styles almost. Both come from a Soviet background, grounded in that style. Bivol more traditional Soviet style. Beterbiev traditional Soviet style, yes, but a bit different again. I could almost similarly liken it to a Triple G kind of style. A bit more, stalks a bit more, picks his shots nicely, doesn't waste his energy. Yeah, but
elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to say something. An elite range management.
Yeah, correct.
Bivol.
For Bivol, yes, yeah. I feel like I said, they both have polar styles, but grounded in a traditional Soviet style. One again is more of a pressure fighter, and the other one is more of a step back game style fighter. A very intelligent lead hand from Bivol. Probably got the best jab in boxing right now. I think he lands it on average like 10 a round or something. It's something ridiculous. So yeah, it's actually incredible.
That's significant.
Yeah, he's quite good, but yeah, it's such an interesting matchup. I still can't split it. I truly think it's a proper 50-50, which makes it so exciting that we get this fight, because normally it's kind of hard to get to, irrespective of Beterbiev maybe being slightly over the hill potentially, although there are no signs to suggest it, but the number is there, like 39, you know. But beyond that, this is two of the best getting in the ring, both top 10 pound-for-pound fighters. As fans, we're very lucky to have it.
Absolutely, and we have got to thank Turkey Alashey for putting these fights on. Yeah, listen, this is a message to you, Turkey Alashey. Thank you very much. This is very, very mad. What a great 50-50 matchup. I do have opinions, though.
Yes.
I agree with those things. Two things. We have the Dagestani fighter in Beterbiev, and we have the Kyrgyzstan guy from Bivol.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
That Russian-esque.
Kyrgyzstan?
Yeah, from Kyrgyzstan,
okay.
you know.
All these stands, jeez. Yeah.
Let me just say, if I'm a fighter, and if I was a professional fighter, and someone has Stan in their country name, I'm avoiding it.
Yeah.
I go, no thanks. I'll take the easy fight.
Leave me right
No Stans, thank you.
Yeah. These stands come out of nowhere.
We got Triple G from Kazakhstan.
Yep.
No thanks.
Yeah, not having it. Yeah.
But stylistically, I agree. They are polar opposites, and that's what makes it so fascinating. You've got a pressure fighter and a puncher, and all these stories that keep coming out of from these fighters that have sparred him, this, that, and very similar to Triple G sort of stories.
Yes,
They're like, he took me off his feet.
Yeah.
They go, man, this power is something.
Yeah, it's different. Like we're talking like G-force power.
G-forces.
Yeah, you heard some of them YouTube videos. Some of the fighters are talking about it. I think a good one I heard was one guy got hit in the head and he said his foot was sore for a week. I mean, like, what does that tell you? And these are fighters too, like they're proud men, so they're not going to say that unless it's a thing. So.
Yeah, unless he's banging.
That's right.
Yeah. And you know what? This guy isn't a pressure fighter. This guy's a Terminator.
Yes, that's exactly what he is.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. He doesn't stop.
No.
He doesn't look like he gets tired.
And you know what? His footwork, you're right, isn't like that of Bivol. Bivol might be one of the best pure boxers that we have right now.
Yeah, probably.
Like, it's so nice to watch.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah,
But-
Soviet style. Yeah,
That sneaky, obviously very athletic man in Artur Beterbiev.
for sure.
However, he's countering in respects to his timing, and he punches in between.
Yeah.
With that one, all he needs is one shot.
That's right,
Where he's
yeah.
caused drama.
Exactly right.
I got some Beterbiev information for you. All right, for those who are not completely familiar, but he's fought Usyk 3 times in the amateurs.
Did not know that.
One at light heavy in the amateur ranking system by weight divisions.
Yep.
And then 2 at heavyweight, I believe it was. So they went up for the next 2 times.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so I think he won the first one and then lost the second 2.
What are the heavyweight?
Yeah, like heavyweight.
in the amateurs.
In the amateurs.
Okay.
So heavyweight
Interesting.
in the amateurs is like the cruiserweight style fights, while super heavyweight would be what we would traditionally think as heavyweight in the professionals.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, they fought a bunch of times. I'm like,
Okay.
that's incredible.
How do you go?
First one, he won at the light heavyweight in amateurs, and then he lost the next 2 against Usyk.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
He fought Gvozdek in the amateurs, I believe.
Yep.
My memory serves me correctly. Don't fact check me. I'm pretty sure though. And he's fought against very, very experienced guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
he had like 200 something amateur fights as well.
He has a strong amateur pedigree. Yeah, you're right. And also, yeah, a lot of people don't. They go, okay, this guy's a monster, a Terminator. He comes forward, he hits you hard. You've heard the stories, but they don't actually talk about his actual skill set just as a boxer. He does some very intelligent things in there. Very good feint game. He has a lot of good entries. Sets a lot of traps. Very good punch selection. Yeah, like he is a high IQ fighter for sure.
Both are, and that's what makes it very interesting.
Yes.
Like, not only are you going to get the knockout potentially with Beterbiev, but you've got like a chess match playing going on. So you've got the best of both worlds. For those purists that go, listen, I want to see the boxing, I want to see the chess matches.
Yep.
That's fine. But if you want to see the knockouts, they've got it. With Bivol as well, he did get a stoppage in his last fight.
He did, yeah.
Zinedad.
Yeah, I believe, yes, yeah.
Something like that. But he was a last minute rope in.
That's right, yeah. And Bivol just came out the gates and just overwhelmed him.
Exactly. But his last like 6 or 7 fights before that were UDs.
That's right, yeah.
Unanimous decisions.
Yep.
So, yeah, he does have power, but I think he prefers to box.
That's right, yeah. And I think that's where the majority of his strong points are in his ability to box. Like I mentioned, a very good step back game, great jab, great feinting, a brilliant footwork. Never overcommits to his shots. Just very intelligent fighter. This is an insanely hard matchup to call. Like I said, I keep going back and forth on it, and I still don't know. Yeah,
and I didn't look up the numbers right now on the betting agencies, but we might put it in the comments below what it's currently at as we're speaking.
Pretty much a 50-50,
Yeah.
I think Bivol is a slight favourite. Is a slight favourite, which tells you everything you need to know right there. Like, it's a tough one to call.
$1.90, $1.95 or something.
Thing. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know what? If you just kind of like, before we, delve too deep into the light heavyweight division, but can I just say, like, Eastern Europeans / the Russians have had a lock on this division for like 10 years.
Yeah, they own it.
15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Kovalev.
Yep.
That was dominant.
Super dominant.
Yep. And he got robbed on his first fight against Andre Ward.
Love Ward, but Kovalev won that fight. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
It was a good fight, but
we
Kovalev
watched
won.
it together somewhere in Alexandra.
Yes. Yep.
And I was like, oh, well, great win, Probably had some money on it. We're not degenerates, but I think just to make it a bit more fun,
of course.
$600 on it. No.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, I couldn't eat for a week.
Yeah.
Anyway, got robbed, but nonetheless, a bit alcoholic, I think they were saying.
Apparently he liked the vodka. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on
Well,
him.
who doesn't?
Yeah.
What Russian doesn't?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he had that on lock. Then you had maybe 5 years of Adonis Stevenson there, and then Gvozdyk, the Ukrainian guy, he beat him.
Yep.
And then there was this resurgence of the Beterbiev.
Yes. Yep.
Gvozdyk did do well against him, but he ended up getting stopped.
Yep.
At power.
Yep.
And then Bivol.
That's right.
These
Now
two,
Bivol, yeah.
these
And-
two Russian countries again.
Yeah.
Let's just lock up the heavyweight
That's
division
right.
again.
And if anything, Beterbiev's resurgence should have been sooner on the mainstream, but no one wanted to put in work with him. No one wanted to get in the ring with him. Like like people feared this man. Similar to G, it took a while for G to get on the map because for that reason, people didn't want to. I don't want to fight this guy. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
And Bivol's meal ticket was beating Canelo.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. That was like his coming out party in a sense. No one gave Bivol much of a chance in that fight. I think it was like a 5-1
Betting odds.
betting odds. Yeah, he was a 5-1 dog. So but he come out and didn't make the fight look easy. He was very competitive for the first 4, 5, 6 rounds, but after that he started to push away with it and really showed his skill set.
And Canelo really had that aura of invincibility at the time.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
And it was a shock. Like, wow, this guy is here.
In saying that, like I just mentioned, the first few rounds were very competitive, and Canelo did do a lot of good things that I think people are forgetting because of just how dominant Bivol was on the home stretch in that fight. But there's things from that fight that I think Beterbiev could take that he could definitely use against Bivol. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, then that leads me to my second question then. What do you reckon the keys to victory are for Beterbiev? Like, what do you reckon he could take from that fight? What are you thinking?
So I think for Beterbiev, he needs to keep the fight in the mid to short range as often as possible. That's where he needs to operate. Anything like outside of that in the long range, I think Bivol's just gonna just play into Bivol's strengths much more. So yeah, he's got to keep it in the mid to short range. Try and punch in between Bivol's punches.
Yeah.
I think a good thing that Canelo was doing early before Canelo started to gas was he was forcing Bivol onto the ropes a lot, and Bivol tends to back out in straight lines. He not always, but he will tend to back out in straight lines,
Okay.
and he does tend to adopt the high guard as one of his defensive packages, which isn't necessarily bad. But I just think against someone like Beterbiev, he'll have a field day with that. He'll pick his punches. He'll manipulate the guard. He's going to find homes for his shots.
He wants the high guard because that body will be there.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Worst case scenario, exiting in a straight line against Beterbiev.
Exactly right. And Beterbiev's really good at forcing you back as well. He's got a really good like kind of a leaping jab and like hook that he uses to force people back, and like a leaping overhand right that's going to force Bivol back. So if he does find himself on the ropes, I think that'll be a great place for Beterbiev to do his work. And if the fight is dictated in those areas on the ropes in the corners, I've got Beterbiev huge favorite if that's how it plays out. I think for him to get the win, he has to put the fight into that position. Like it needs to be mid-range, short-range pressure. Bivol doesn't clinch as well, which is also good for.
He wants to exit he's very defensive with his legs.
That's right.
Doesn't want to clinch up.
Yeah, and also like don't get me wrong, there were times where he was in the high guard on the ropes against Canelo, and he countered very nicely. He landed some great counters, which not many people have been able to do against Canelo since G, really. So he did have success there, but I just think playing that game against Beterbiev won't work. Canelo landed some nice shots in the earlier rounds, and if Beterbiev had similar success in a similar fashion, I could see him really hurting Bivol. Bivol won't be able to take those kind of punches. So yeah, for him to win, it's got to be like that. He's got to close the gap. He's got to be on him. He can't let Bivol basically do what he always does and play on the outside. And yeah.
No, exactly right, because Bivol has that elite range management where you're at the end of his punches the whole time, that Soviet style, not really throwing much body work and a lot of straight punches long left hooks.
Yes, yeah, beautiful.
And just keeps you at range. He's got a lot of front hand options.
Yes.
Why you can be so successful with that style is having that really piston jab. Bah! You know what I'm saying? And that's like, well, now I've got to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, like I've got to get around the jab. And like you said, he's got one of the best jabs in the business, and you've got to deal with that.
Yep.
However, Beterbiev is very familiar with that style, like you were saying. So you're right. His keys to victory, I'm very much in agreement that he's got to keep it that medium to close, while Bivol essentially is the opposite.
Yes.
Medium to long.
Yeah.
He does like to let his hands go at times, but it's very smart, Bivol, that is.
Yeah, that's
He's
right.
very smart when he does.
It's high percentage spots.
Exactly. And low counter opportunities.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
However, those one shots with the power that Beterbiev has, which is world class, and like we said earlier, a lot of fighters are like, hey, you hit me, it's different. that can, or where that benefits him is that he's actually got great timing in that sense. He doesn't have that fancy footwork. Like he's probably, deceptively. Everyone thinks he's a Terminator, but there's boxing skills there.
Deceptively very skillful.
Exactly.
Yes, totally agree.
He's not flashy, that nice bouncing pendulum step,
Yep.
but he times you. If you throw, he can time you with that overhand right.
That's
He just
right.
needs one shot.
That's it.
To cause
Yeah.
drama,
100%.
to rattle you.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, and like we said in previous podcasts, that when you have that power and you take someone's confidence just a little bit, like
Yeah.
I can't now do whatever I
That's
want
right.
because I'm worried with that one punch.
You take away an aspect of their game, it makes it harder. That's right. And Bivol has been hit. Like Smith hit him, I believe. Tagged him with a good one. Like, and he was rattled. He was lucky it was the end
Joe
of the-
Smith?
Joe Smith.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
It was lucky it was the end of the round. Bivol recovered. So, like, I mean, if Beterbiev does something similar, I don't know. I don't think Bivol would, like he'd struggle to survive. I think versus someone like Beterbiev.
And he's a great finisher.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
exactly
once you're
right.
rattled, then you're like, okay, back up on the ropes.
Yeah.
Man, the body, the head, he's got all the punch options.
That's right.
Uppercuts, devastating.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you seen this guy train? Have you seen? If anyone's listening, I implore you to go and watch some of these training highlights. Man, he's doing push-ups on his fingers.
Yes,
he does
I've
the
seen
whole
this. Yeah, it's crazy.
like making this insanely strong forearm.
like old school Soviet, like
Yeah.
secret training that like we don't know about or something. Yeah,
It's forbidden.
Yeah.
Only Costazu knows it.
yeah,
in
that's right.
Australia.
Yeah.
But man, I tell you what, it's absolutely like incredible. Like the way they train is just like, listen, in Dagestan, they've got the highest percentage of combat fighters anywhere in the world, MMA, wrestling, everything.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Man, and like,
I mean, these guys wrestle bears and stuff. Like, it's just like a human's easy work for them. Like, yeah.
exactly. What were you saying before? I don't get
I don't get paid to fight a bear, so I got to come fight you. But like, you're easy work for me. 'Cause, like, guys been wrestling bears since he was a kid.
Yeah.
And that's legit. You can look at that shit up. Like you see it happen.
It's like, what's going on here? Why are you fighting that animal?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, listen, there's something about this mountainous terrain that creates these hard men. Like, like weathered, like we were saying before, like the Gurkhas, like military speaking, the guys from Nepal, man, they're like some of the best soldiers going, disciplined, but a mountainous Himalayas.
Yeah.
Dagestan, if you look up like, videos of Dagestan, like it's just hills.
Yeah.
Like I'm not talking like Australia, a hill.
No, yeah.
I'm talking mountains.
Yeah, proper.
And it's
Yeah,
like rugged
yeah.
as well. Like you fall, you cut up.
That's right. Yeah. They come from places where they can conditioned a certain way under like harsh environments. And
altitude.
it shows in the way they fight. Like all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, got nothing else to
They're different. Yeah.
nothing else to fight for. Poor, corrupt.
Yeah.
Apparently
the whole
it's like
thing.
some kind of abduction, kidnapping capital of the world. Someone tries it's up there.
Yeah. But a whole concoction of things that just lead to just killers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you
We've
don't
got to deal with them.
and like you got to consider the guys that are doing the abducting and the kidnapping. You've got to go through probably like a world class wrestler.
Yeah,
It's like I'm going to abduct you, but I have to be a world class wrestler as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I 100% agree with your analysis. Very very reasonable. Flip it around. Talk to me about Bivol and his keys to victory against this Terminator. Insane power, Artur Beterbiev.
Yeah, again, very interesting. So yeah, essentially the opposite. Broadly speaking, Bivol, I believe, like we all know, his game is long range, long shots, high percentage shots, strong feint game, very good footwork, in and out. He's constantly in motion, this guy, constantly moving, but he does it in an effortless way where he uses his weight well. It's actually really nice to watch. Again, just traditional Soviet style, but it's like he's perfected it. I think for him to win, he has to do all those things. Keep Beterbiev at the end of his punches, keep moving, use strong feints, a strong jab, really good lead hand game, all the things that he has. And I think he's just got to win rounds. Again, avoid the close to mid-range exchanges and, just basically just keep everything at the end of his punches and keep moving. It's going to be tough because it's a spot where he can't really make as many mistakes against, like, Beterbiev could have a half average night, but if he just gets his offense off once or twice, he might get a stoppage, or he might KO Bivol potentially.
So you're saying it's something like a Deontay Wilder versus
Fury 1.
So it's very reminiscent of Luis Ortiz versus Deontay Wilder, where Luis Ortiz had to have a perfect night.
He did.
But Deontay Wilder just has to be right once.
Yeah, very similar to that. In my opinion, I think Bivol could look great until he doesn't. It could be a situation like that where he's doing everything right, and then Beterbiev just has his moment, or he has a couple of moments, and then the fight turns, and then things change, and then the real estate changes to the point where now Beterbiev's starting to fight more at mid-range, getting some shots off, start fighting more at close range, et cetera, and that could be the beginning of the end for Bivol. But, for Bivol's keys to victory, he just needs to keep the fight at a distance. He also needs to probably get Beterbiev's respect as well. He's going to have to let his hands go a little bit here and there. He's going to have to sit on a backhand or two here and there, you know.
You can't walk me down.
Yeah, he's going to have to let him, and I think Bivol can definitely do that. Like, he does have power.
Yeah.
Like, he had Canelo backing off a lot. And he was really good at timing Canelo's footwork coming forward. He punched in between when Canelo's feet weren't completely set as he'd come forward. I don't think Beterbiev's footwork is as exploitable, but if it is, then I could see Bivol using those moments to get his shots off. But essentially box well, bank rounds, keep moving.
And exactly right. That's what, that's obviously something that a lot of opponents of Canelo Alvarez has exposed. That footwork, cool, it's world class. But then when you're at this level, like the 1%ers matter.
These little things.
And like he has to really set his feet. Being a puncher, he has to
That's
really set
right,
his feet to deliver.
exactly.
While if you're in perpetual motion like Bivol,
Someone like Bivol will see that and time his offense off of that.
bad matchup.
Yep.
Since
That's right.
since
Which
the
is
get-go.
essentially the essence of how Bivol beat Canelo. Yeah.
Essentially. So it's particularly interesting. So I'm hearing from your two analyses is that you have to, it's whoever is going to implement their plan A, essentially, is going to win.
Impose their style.
Their style, that's the person going to win.
Yep.
And do you reckon there's any grounds for plan B? Because they're both high IQ fighters, right? They have the ability to be quite relatively fluid in their game plans while staying within their style.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think the general consensus is that if Beterbiev wins, it's because he gets a stoppage or maybe a KO.
Yep.
And if Bivol wins, it's by decision.
Yep.
Which I think is very likely if Bivol does win. But I can see a scenario where Beterbiev actually outpoints Bivol in the sense that he fights him at the mid-range more. He takes that real estate and the close range, but doesn't get the stoppage. Gets good work off, but doesn't do enough to get the stoppage, but it does enough to score enough points to win a decision. I could see that happening too.
Some of the judges are preferring the power shots of Beterbiev as opposed to and controlling the ring generalship by imposing that a bit more.
Constantly forcing Bivol back won't look great if it's a close fight.
Yeah.
It won't look great for Bivol.
Yep.
I can see that route potentially happening. Bivol's tough. I just don't think he can get to a point where he's got to bite down and throw and trade. So he has to really stick to the game plan. He has to be all in on it. And I think Beterbiev, it's not just the power that could win it for him. I think he could do enough to win rounds.
Right. Yeah. So you reckon he has a few more options there? Yeah, right. Actually, no, that's actually interesting. It's like he can outpoint you by bullying you.
Yeah.
Or he can stop you with a knockout. While Bivol is essentially, hey, I'm just here and I pretty much can outpoint you a lot lower percentage of a stoppage.
Yes, yeah. And
if he's gone for the stoppage, bang, he's open to a counter.
I don't think that's ever in his realm of thought. Unless he gets rattled and he's not thinking or something. I don't know. If he gets desperate, but I just think Bivol has to just stick to the game plan. And for him, that's his bread and butter, and he needs to be all in on that. Whereas Beterbiev can mix it up a bit more. He can get a bit more crafty, and he can probably pull a few more tricks out of the hat.
Yeah, he's got a bit more tactical flexibility.
I think so, just because of that power, and just because the Bivol has to respect it. So that'll force Bivol into just trying to box perfectly, which he's capable of doing, and I won't be surprised if he does. Another factor as well we haven't touched on is the age.
I was about to bring it up.
Beterbiev is 39 now, I believe. So look, I haven't seen any signs to suggest that he is 39 in terms of his.
You know what? Something's creeped in. He had that meniscus tear in his knee.
Yeah, that's
It's like
true.
that's
yeah.
a bit of an old man thing, if you will. Old man.
Yeah, he's had a few injuries along the way as well, which obviously plays into it too. Obviously, that is an advantage to Bivol. But like I said, I haven't seen anything in his fights to suggest that it's a real problem. So I don't put too much weight into the age thing. Like this guy's he's a different human. This Beterbiev guy, like you said, he's the guy's a Terminator. Like,
I think Eddie Hearn said, "It ain't fair.
yeah. That's,
Unfair advantage."
yeah, that's literally what it feels like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just so excited for this fight. Like it's.
And another thing coming like from that psychological background as well, as opposed just to the straight fight technicalities, is that Bivol has just broken up with his wife, and it's a little bit messy. You know, I think
you think like a psychological factor there.
Yeah, maybe like because it just hit the media just kind of semi-recently.
Interesting.
And he's like, "You've changed." You know, she went out on social medias and saying some stuff.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
She says, "You've changed. You've turned the power and the money got to your head." Sort of thing.
Yeah. Ungrateful.
Yeah. And I think I think he's too much of a professional to truly let that affect him. Like in the
Bivol,
fight,
he seems very stoic.
very stoic.
Yeah.
However, like, you know, it's also a factor. Like maybe that's just what he presents to the media and to the world.
for sure.
But maybe something else is going there.
Yeah.
And like,
That's interesting.
you can't tell me that doesn't knock off 1%.
Yeah,
a half a percent.
It's definitely
50-50
not a
fight?
positive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and all these things add up. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be a contributing factor. Yeah.
So yeah, like, you know, just a little bit of spice on top.
Yeah, it's
and
interesting,
the reason that I mentioned that is because, you know, like when we had Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos, that the psychological edge went to George Kambosos in this spot
100%.
because like
Yeah.
he was going through some crazy stuff in the background.
Yeah.
You know, Triller, and like here's a funny one. This podcast at one stage was going to be called "Who Remembers Triller."
I like the name.
Yeah, we might have to.
What a
change
joke
it.
that was. That
I
Triller
know.
thing. Oh my god, circus.
And obviously a bunch of like, you know, headaches with it, etc. But that psychological factor came into play there.
for sure. Yeah, it's a big thing. Like we touched on it before, but like in the case of Teofimo Lopez coming off the win against Lomachenko, which is life changing, and you know everything that goes with that, the emotional dump that comes with that, and now he's got to get up for a guy like GK. He's like, he doesn't even know who he was, and then you got a guy like GK who's kind of in the position that Lopez was prior to fighting Lomachenko. In a similar kind of sense, like he's hungry, he needs this, it's all
Dialed in man.
You know what I mean? So besides, like every other, like Lopez was a better fighter than George Kambosos, but every other possible metric that carries any weight in boxing, GK had that over him in that fight because he just had that motivation.
It was a perfect
He was
storm.
training harder. It was the perfect storm. He was all in on it, and that's And so yeah, definitely the psychological aspect is definitely a thing in fighting for sure. So that's a good point you bring up.
Yeah, no. So we'll see how this pans out, and it's coming up in a few weeks, and it's going to be truly a one hell of a fight.
I can't wait.
But let's touch on just the light heavyweight division, just in general. It's actually pretty exciting because a lot of guys have jumped up from super middle to light heavyweight, and you know, there's quite a little bit of action going on in this particular area of these weight divisions here. I'm going to make a statement. I think that Beterbiev would stop David Benavidez.
Interesting.
Thoughts?
I don't want to agree because Benavidez is my boy.
Now, you've been on him since day dot.
But I think just stylistically, it wouldn't be great for Benavidez. He's got too much mongrel in him, and he would just want to let his hands go at some point. It's just part of his style, and I think in between punches, Beterbiev is going to do better. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. Regardless of what happens in the Bivol-Beterbiev fight, I'd love to see Benavidez and Beterbiev go. But yeah, I don't think I like his chances. Also, like...
he didn't look great when he jumped up to light heavy and he versed Gvozdyk.
Yeah, the Ukrainian guy. I thought he did okay. I just think they realised, hey, we can't bully as much here. We can't push him back as much, you know. And Beterbiev won't be having any of that. So, yeah.
And in fact, you know what? Because he's getting older and his probably athletics have come down a little bit. Last thing to go is power.
Yep.
But Benavidez coming onto him, trying to bully him.
It could be
and like we
perfect
said
for-
before, Benavidez hitting in between
Yes.
the punches.
Yep. Yeah, which is what he's so good at.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be that's a bad style and a bad matchup for Benavidez.
I think so. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? The loser of this fights Benavidez.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll be happy with that. Yeah.
Either or.
Either or will be great. Yeah.
And what about Bivol versus Benavidez?
That's a beauty. Real hard to call. I'd have to have a think about it. But off the top of my head, I take Bivol off the top of my head. But I'd love to see it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Benavidez won. I do think Benavidez, although a great fighter, great boxer, great jab, and all his combinations are great. He's just got that mongrel. And he just comes forward and
Entertaining.
very entertaining. The reason why they call him the Mexican Monster. I think technically Bivol is a better boxer, and I think he could exploit some of Benavidez's leaks potentially. So I do lean Bivol.
Yeah, Benavidez' style at this stage, he's still relatively young, and he still has some
He's still a bit raw.
some fat
way.
there to adjust some styles.
Yeah.
I think his style's predicated on bullying.
Yeah, and overwhelming pressure. Yeah.
And that's a problem here when he goes up weight divisions where
Yep.
they're bigger men,
Yep.
they can crack.
That's right. And he doesn't mind copping one to give one, which is all good and well when you're kind of almost a bully in your weight division, but then you're going up into the 175 range, there's some bigger boys there. You know what I mean? And it doesn't really work as well. Doesn't mash as well. And also another thing as well with Benavidez, don't get me wrong, he can crack, but it's a volume thing for him. He overwhelms you with volume. He puts punches together and he just beats you into submission. It's devastating, but it's not really known for being a heavy puncher. So moving up into the heavy divisions, it's going to be harder for him to keep people off, I think, and for him to get that respect as much. So.
And we'll give him a couple of more fights at light heavy to see how he goes and makes the adjustment,
Yeah, for sure.
Because that jump from 168, was it?
So, 168 to 175, yep.
That's pretty big.
And he got in the ring with, he didn't fight a bum. The guy fought as the previous world champion.
Yeah, the Ukrainian Gvozdyk.
Crafty veteran who's a big boy himself.
Yep.
And,
He beat Adonis Stevenson.
That's right.
He was a world champion.
That's right.
I think it was a perfect fight for him because he had a year off. So he had the reputation, he had the skill set.
Yep.
He's probably not like a one-punch banger.
No.
Gvozdyk, that is.
Yep.
And then he jumped up to, he had about a year off.
He fought Beterbiev, yeah. I think he needed a year off after that. Yeah.
Foot hurts.
Yeah, yeah, still. Definitely. So, look, I think Benavidez can do damage at 175, but like you said, needs a few more fights, and we'll sort of see where he lands. Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about him fighting Beterbiev and Bivol potentially. These guys are the elites of that division. He's just entered the division. You know what I mean? So,
cut him some slack.
That's my boy. Yeah.
A real nice matchup actually with that division as well. Obviously, we see Canelo and Beterbiev. But listen, Canelo, he's cruising at the moment. He's got the name. He's got the money. He doesn't need to... He's trying to save some brain cells.
He ain't fighting no Beterbiev.
Ain't fighting no Beterbiev.
Nah.
Maybe a Bivol, a second Bivol, maybe.
I'd like to see that, but I don't even think that's happening anymore. I think that's past. I think it's past its expiry date now.
Or what everyone wants to see. We want to see Canelo and Benavidez.
Yeah.
That's the fight. That's what we want to see.
100%. Yeah, but that won't happen. Even if it does, it'll be at 168.
Yeah, that's so true. I'd be, you know what, maybe that's why Benavidez went up to 175 because Canelo's like, yeah, I'm older now, put on a bit of weight, slowing down a little bit. He would
have gone up sooner, I think, but he was waiting for Canelo. He was really trying. He tried everything he could to make that fight happen, and Canelo's camp just wasn't having a bar of it. And he would have gone up to light heavyweight sooner, I think. So yeah, but now he's there, and I think it's in his, he's done with it now. He's gone up. I don't think he's going to come back down. Obviously, he would if the money's there, but I don't think Canelo
doesn't want it.
Yeah,
because it's potentially one of those, handing over the torch fights. You know what I mean? Canelo's not that old, but it's one of those fights where it was say Manny Pacquiao fighting Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah.
That was like, hey,
Yeah.
it's yours now.
Yep.
You know, and it's funny because Oscar De La Hoya kind of had two of those fights.
Mayweather
one with
is-
Mayweather
yeah.
and then one with Pacquiao.
That's how big of a name De La Hoya was at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it was
yeah.
looking very good against
He was the golden
Mayweather.
boy for a reason, yeah. He was looking good. That was a good fight.
It was actually.
Yeah.
But, you know, low key, I kind of like those fights as well where they're getting like a little bit bashed.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Pacquiao put it on him.
when Manny
yeah.
Pacquiao was bashing him, you know, and like I
Yeah.
kind of like, it's sadistic, I know, but I'm like, oh, look at the dominance of this bloke.
Yeah.
And then what's that famous quote? You can't handle, from Freddie Roach, you
Yeah.
can't handle your speed, son.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's
it.
not how he sounds, but
No, that wasn't too bad.
Thank
It
you.
was better than your Irish accent or whatever that was.
Oh, the
Sussex, the
Essex.
Essex.
That sounds Jamaican. Yeah, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, it's embarrassing. What a fool. All right, I'm going to ask you the question again. All right, I have a gun, and I have it to your head. Who is your money on with Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol in Saudi Arabia in approaching weeks?
It's so tough to call. I mean, flip a coin, gun to my head.
Shoot.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to take Bivol. I think Bivol just outboxes him, moves well enough. I think Beterbiev will have his moments though, and it could be like a situation where it's like on a knife's edge. But I think Bivol will push through and do enough to win enough rounds to get a decision. I just think his boxing is just so elite and so pure that I think it'll be enough. And I think the age maybe could be a thing too, and the injury potentially. So yeah, gun to my head, I take Bivol. That was hard.
Listen, thanks for asking. But if someone has a gun to my head and they go, Guy, what do you think? This is what I'm thinking. I'm going to copy and paste you. It's a 50-50. Doesn't surprise me if it goes either way.
Yeah.
The age factor, the meniscus tear factor, and the essentially youth and distance management of Bivol
Yep.
is going to get him unanimous points decision.
Yep.
If someone was like, you have to tell me.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell anyone to go bet on that.
No, and I could definitely argue for Beterbiev, convincingly, or at least convince myself anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. That'll do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Michael, on the heavyweight division? The light heavyweight division and or the fight approaching?
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, just excited for it. I think it's going to be a great fight, regardless. Again, you've got two polar styles coming toe to toe, and it's just going to be interesting to see which one dominates, because that's essentially where it's going to be decided. So yeah, looking forward to seeing the polar opposite styles clashing and seeing which one prevails. Yep.
Well, thank you for your thoughts, sir.
No worries, anytime.
All right, you've been listening to And Still Boxing with your host Guy McKinnon and special guest Michael King.
Thank you for listening. If you liked this episode, please subscribe to the channel for future content.